Hello and welcome to the next episode of the TCG Summit podcast. I'm Chris and I chair the TCG Summit, the leading international conference for electrical retail. Today is Tuesday and that means we have prepared the next podcast for you. This episode is about one of the biggest strategic questions facing our industry. How can tech retailers and brands respond to the disruptive reality of platform economies? Players such as Timo, TikTok and others are changing customer expectations, pricing, discovery, speed and the way products reach consumers. They are not just competitors, they represent a different logic of commerce. So today we look at whether tech retailers and brands can adapt fast enough, where their strengths still matter, and what this means for the future of electrical retail and your business. Let's get started.
If I told you that 75% of consumers who, passionately advocate for local, sustainable goods actually buy more fast fashion from ultra-discount sites like Shein and Temu than people who openly admit they don't care at all, would you believe me?
Well, I mean, it sounds crazy,
What?
but yeah.
Right, because today we're looking at the brutal, unvarnished data of the platform economy, and it is going to completely shatter a lot of what you might think you know about retail.
Yeah, welcome to the deep dive. We've got a stack of research today based on a genuinely groundbreaking keynote by e-commerce veteran Alexander Graf.
And our mission today is to really look at his data piece by piece and figure out what is actually happening behind the buy now button.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's unpack this, because the irony of where we are right now is just wild to me. Graf points out that 15 years ago, the battle cry for every brand was, innovate or die.
Right, everybody was saying that.
Every business school, every tech blog was just screaming at companies to move to e-commerce and build their own digital storefronts. And today, the very companies that followed that advice, the ones who poured millions into standalone direct-consumer websites, are the ones on life support.
It's a massive, jarring reality check. I mean, we are looking at a fundamental rewiring of how goods move from a factory to your front door.
Yeah.
Today's deep dive is really about stripping away the illusions of the retail world. It's about understanding the mechanics of why the market has shifted entirely beneath our feet.
And why the traditional role of the merchant of record is basically facing extinction, right?
Exactly. The bedrock of modern retail is just crumbling.
So, okay, merchant of record. Let's start right there. Because if you're listening to this and you've ever worked in retail or tried to build a small brand, you know that for the last decade, brands fought tooth and nail to be exactly that.
Oh, absolutely. It was the goal.
Right. The merchant of record is the legal entity that holds the physical inventory, processes your credit card, and most importantly, owns your customer data. It was the ultimate prize.
Yeah, but Graf's data shows this is now the absolute biggest losing position in all of retail.
The biggest loser.
Wow. It is a massive paradigm shift.
Yeah.
An astounding 90 to 95% of all future e-commerce growth, even going to those independent direct-to-consumer brands.
So where is it going?
Is bypassing them completely and going straight to platforms. Huge centralized marketplaces. The standalone direct-to-consumer store, which we all thought was the future of independent business, is dying.
Right.
And to understand the mechanism behind that death, we actually have to look at the supposed king of being a merchant, which is Amazon.
Wait, I'm struggling to square that. Because when you think merchant of record, you think Amazon. I mean, they're the ones selling you a blender, putting it in a box with a smile on it, and dropping it on your porch.
That is the assumption, yeah. But what's fascinating here is that Amazon actually hates retail.
Wait, what?
Seriously. If you look at their financial numbers over the last 20 years, Amazon's international retail division was only profitable for 2 years.
2 years out of 20.
2 years out of 20. For almost 2 decades, doing international retail was a staggering loss-making endeavor for them.
That is insane.
Yeah, and right now they are actively shrinking their own Amazon-owned retail brands by 50%.
Okay, I have to push back on that. How on earth does the everything store lose money selling us everything? Like, they have the scale, they have the customers. How is selling a blender a loss-making endeavor?
Well, it's because of the underlying physical mechanics of retail. Just think about the costs associated with that blender.
Okay.
Amazon has to buy it from a manufacturer, pay to ship it across the ocean on a cargo vessel, pay to transport it to a massive fulfillment center, pay to store it, and then execute the most expensive part of all, which is the last mile delivery to your specific porch in 2 days.
Yeah, those Amazon vans are everywhere.
Right. And if you don't like the color, you send it back. And Amazon absorbs the cost of reverse logistics, which often costs more than the blender's profit margin.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about the returns.
Yeah, selling the physical item is a nightmare of overhead. Amazon realized this, so they are stepping back from being the merchant. Instead, they are acting purely as an infrastructure and media platform.
Meaning they don't want to own the blender. They just want to charge the guy who actually owns the blender for the privilege of selling it on their site.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
I mean, they make their massive profits from Amazon Web Services, their cloud computing division, and from retail media, basically charging other people to advertise in their search results.
So they're just a digital landlord.
Pretty much. Amazon is growing at roughly $150 per minute globally in investments, pouring billions into AI and back-end infrastructure. Meanwhile, they're letting third-party sellers take on the actual financial risk of storing and selling the physical blender.
So it's like we spent a decade building these beautiful, bespoke, standalone boutiques on a desert island while all the customers just teleported into a mega mall.
Yes.
And not only do we not own the boutiques in the mall, we don't even own the cash registers. We're just paying rent to the mall owner.
And in this mega mall, the platforms are not your partners. They are the new infrastructure. To survive this shift, you have to accept a really bitter pill.
Which is?
Owning the customer data, which used to be the holy grail of e-commerce, is becoming irrelevant.
Irrelevant, but data is the new oil.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we've been told for a decade. If you own the email address, you own the relationship.
You own a relationship the customer no longer values.
Ouch.
Yeah, today, the customer doesn't care about your specific brand's data ecosystem or your loyalty points.
Right.
They care about the platform. They are shopping on the platform of record, whether that's Amazon or newer giants we'll get to in a minute. The entity that actually holds the physical product, the one taking the massive financial risk to produce it, store it, and guess if you want it, is the one bleeding money in this new economy.
Which perfectly transitions us into the actual physical stuff, the boxes, the inventory. Because if owning the customer data is no longer a competitive moat, you'd assume owning the actual physical product is the only leverage left.
You would think so.
But Graph's keynote suggests that's actually worse. Like, the physical stuff sitting on shelves is the poison killing these businesses.
Oh, absolutely. Inventory used to be a massive point of pride. 10 years ago, Graph would visit major European retailers, and they would actually brag to him.
Brag about what? Just having lots of boxes?
Yeah, they'd show off these highly automated, state-of-the-art warehouses holding 100 million euros worth of merchandise. They were incredibly proud of their capital expenditure and their ability to hold all this stock so they could deliver it anywhere within 24 hours.
And today, how do investors view a 100 million euro warehouse full of stuff?
Today, holding inventory is viewed as a massive, toxic liability.
Toxic.
Completely toxic. The fastest growing, record-breaking business models in e-commerce right now carry absolutely zero inventory risk. None.
Zero. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting to me. If nobody wants to hold the inventory, how are you and I still getting all this stuff delivered to our houses? Are we just cutting out the middleman entirely?
We are absolutely cutting out the middleman. It's a mechanism called factory to consumer.
Okay, explain that.
Well, you have to understand the sheer scale of global manufacturing, particularly in China. There is massive surplus production capacity.
Right, they can just build so much stuff.
Exactly. And the technology has evolved. Factories run on highly sophisticated systems, enterprise resource planning, or ERP software.
ERP, right.
And an ERP isn't just a spreadsheet. It's the digital brain of the factory. It tracks raw materials, assembly lines, and shipping. And those ERPs are now plugging directly into the APIs of consumer platforms.
Wait, break that down for me. How does a factory's brain plug into an app on my phone?
So, let's say a factory has 60% of its capacity booked for traditional wholesale orders. They're making TVs for a major electronics brand.
Okay.
But they have 40% of their assembly line sitting completely idle. In the past, that was just lost potential. Now their ERP connects directly to a platform like Temu or AliExpress.
Okay, so the app talks to the factory.
Right. The platform can digitally see that idle capacity. The platform generates a listing, and the moment a consumer taps buy, the factory builds the TV and slaps a shipping label directly to the consumer's house on the box.
Wow.
Yeah, they sell the products essentially at cost. just to keep the machines running and cover their overhead.
Like that crazy example Graph used of the 55-inch TV.
Yes, a 55-inch television being sold directly to the consumer for $200.
$200.
That is basically the raw production cost.
I am stuck on the logistics of this, though. How can an anonymous factory in Shenzhen afford to ship a single $200 TV to a driveway in Ohio cheaper than a brand that already has 10,000 of them sitting in a warehouse in Ohio?
Well, look at the mechanics of the old model versus the new model.
Okay.
In the old model, a domestic brand had to guess what people would want a year in advance. They ordered 10,000 TVs, shipped them in massive containers, paid import duties, trucked them to Ohio, paid rent on the Ohio warehouse, paid insurance, paid security, and spent millions on domestic marketing to convince you to buy them.
That is a lot of overhead.
It is. In the platform economy, you eliminate all of that. No branding markup, no middleman warehousing fee, no domestic storage costs. Plus, platforms utilize highly efficient, consolidated air freight and leverage international postal subsidies.
Ah, okay.
It might take 2 weeks for that $200 TV to arrive, but it ships directly from the factory floor to your door. The one left holding the physical product in an expensive domestic warehouse is the one left holding the bag.
Because the old model required you to absorb all the risk of changing consumer tastes. You had to pray that consumers still wanted those 10,000 TVs when they finally arrived.
Precisely. The new model eliminates the guesswork entirely. The factory produces it on demand, the platform displays it, you buy it, and it ships.
But wait, how do they even know we want a $200 TV? Or a vegetable chopper, or like a specific pair of green shoes?
That's the real magic.
Right, because if these platforms aren't guessing what we want a year in advance, how are they moving such an astronomical amount of product?
By entirely changing human behavior. And this is the line between the old kings of e-commerce and the new ones. It all comes down to the fundamental difference between demand capturing and demand creation.
Okay, demand capturing, that's the world we're used to. That's me realizing my coffee maker is broken, going to an Amazon search bar or using Google filters and typing in stainless steel coffee maker. The system captures my existing demand and helps me find the item.
Right, exactly. For 15 years, the entire e-commerce industry was built on demand capturing. Better search algorithms, faster checkout, clearer product filters.
Makes sense.
But the new platforms, specifically companies like Temu and TikTok Shop, they aren't waiting for you to realize your coffee maker is broken. They are mastering demand creation.
So what does this all mean in practice? How does an algorithm create demand out of thin air? I've been trying to wrap my head around this.
Yeah.
To me, it feels like comparing old e-commerce to a restaurant menu. Like demand capture is the menu. You know you want a burger, you look at the menu, you order the burger.
Right.
But demand creation, what TikTok Shop is doing, is like the waiter walking past your table with a sizzling plate of fajitas. You don't want fajitas when you sat down, but the visual auditory trigger of that sizzling plate just hijacks your brain. TikTok is just an infinite feed of sizzling fajitas.
Oh, that is a brilliant way to conceptualize it. Yes. These platforms use incredibly sophisticated algorithms and infinite visually stimulating video feeds to generate spontaneous desire.
You aren't searching at all.
No, you are passively consuming entertainment. Remember that factory ERP we talked about?
The digital brain. Yeah.
Let's say it tells the platform it has leftover green fabric. The algorithm instantly tests a video of a green shirt on 1,000 users.
Wow.
If they pause their scrolling, if their pupils dilate, figuratively speaking, the algorithm pushes it to 1 million people. Suddenly, you see a highly engaging viral video format of this green shirt.
And you just have to have it.
Exactly. You didn't wake up wanting it, but the platform created the demand and the factory fulfills it in real time.
And the numbers on this are just staggering. Temu has over 100 million active monthly users in Europe alone.
And they are essentially printing money because they carry zero risk.
Zero risk.
Right. Temu doesn't own the green shirt. They don't have a warehouse full of them. They just connect you to the factory making it, and they take a 5 to 10% cut of every single transaction just for providing the algorithmic connection.
Unbelievable. And TikTok Shop. I know everyone thinks of TikTok as just like dance trends, but as a retail engine.
As a retail engine, TikTok Shop generated $65 billion outside of China last year.
$65 billion.
Yeah, and inside China, where the model is fully mature, the numbers are difficult to even comprehend. $300 billion annually.
300 billion. That breaks your brain a little bit.
To put that scale into perspective, a single week of sales on TikTok Shop in China is equivalent to an entire year's revenue for a major European online fashion retailer like Zalando.
Wow. And it makes you realize why all the tech we thought was the future just a few years ago feels so useless now. Remember when every tech blog was trying to sell us on smart speakers for shopping?
Oh, yes. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it explains exactly the mechanism of why technologies like Amazon's Alexa voice shopping completely failed to revolutionize retail.
Because you have to know what you want.
Exactly. Voice assistants can only capture demand. You have to actively think, Alexa, order paper towels.
Yeah.
A voice assistant cannot provide this spontaneous, visual, dopamine-driven desire of a sizzling plate of fajitas.
Right.
It cannot create demand. And Graf makes it very clear in his data, demand creation is the absolute mandatory survival skill for the next decade of retail. If you are a brand and you are only capturing demand, you are already obsolete.
Because by the time the consumer realizes they need something and goes to search for it, Temu and TikTok have already created the demand and sold it to them 3 days prior.
Exactly.
Which brings us to a massive collision between our ideals and our wallets. Because if demand is being created instantly on our phones and the products are being fulfilled dirt cheap directly from anonymous factories halfway across the world,
Right.
what happens to the modern, ethical, conscious consumer?
Well, this is where Graf's research reveals a very bitter truth about human psychology and market data. He ran a comprehensive survey of 10,000 online shoppers in the United States.
Okay.
He asked them a direct question. How important is it to you to buy locally made or locally traded products?
And people know the right answer to that question when someone with a clipboard asks them. Like, of course they do.
Of course they do. 75% of the respondents claim that buying locally made or sustainably traded products was important or very important to them.
And the rest?
Only 25% admitted it didn't really matter to them.
Okay, so 75% of people are saying, I care about local business, I care about my carbon footprint, I want to do the right thing.
Right. But Graf didn't stop at the survey. He cross-referenced what they said with their actual purchasing behavior.
Oh, boy.
He tracked the digital receipts of where these two groups actually spent their money over time.
And this is the stat that completely threw me when I read the notes.
Yeah, the 75% who said they deeply cared about local and sustainable goods actually shopped more frequently at fast fashion and ultra-discount platforms like Temu and Shein than the 25% who openly admitted they didn't care at all.
Wait, really? So our inner citizen is just totally lying to our wallets.
Effectively, yeah.
We walk around saying we want fair trade and sustainability. We want to support the local merchant who pays local taxes. But the second we see a $5 sweater or a $200 TV on our social media feed, all our morals just evaporate. Why is that disconnect so huge?
Because of friction and price.
Friction and price.
Yeah, when the friction of buying is reduced to a single tap on a video you're already watching, and the price is literally factory direct, the impulse center of the brain overrides the ideological center.
It's just too easy.
Right. This raises an important question about how businesses must operate going forward. You simply cannot build a business strategy on what consumers say they want.
Because they just tell you what sounds good.
Exactly. People will always give the socially acceptable answer to a survey. But as a business, you must build your strategy on what the data proves they actually do. And right now, across the globe, the data proves definitively that extreme price beats morality every single time.
Wow. It is ruthless. But I guess it makes sense when you understand the mechanics we just laid out. When you remove the middleman, remove the warehouse, remove the domestic marketing, and let an algorithm perfectly pair a bored consumer with idle factory capacity.
Ideology doesn't stand a chance.
Right. Consumers are perfectly willing to wait 2 weeks for a product shipped across the globe if it's cheap enough and the algorithm made them want it badly enough.
That is the reality of the platform economy.
Yeah.
It is incredibly efficient, it scales infinitely, and it absolutely does not care about the traditional rules of retail. The landscape has fundamentally changed. The tools that built the business giants of the last 15 years are now liabilities.
So to bring this all together, if you are listening to this and trying to navigate the modern market, you are looking at the absolute demolition of the old rulebook.
Complete demolition.
Direct-to-consumer, building your own little standalone moat on the internet is fading fast. Holding massive amounts of inventory, which was once the ultimate sign of retail strength and logistics mastery, is now a financial death trap.
Yep.
Demand creation, actually convincing someone scrolling their phone that they need your product right this second, is the new king. And when it comes down to pulling out the credit card, factory direct pricing wins the day, regardless of what we tell ourselves about being ethical shoppers.
It's a tough pill for traditional businesses to swallow, but recognizing the mechanics of this shift is the only way to adapt to it.
I want to challenge you, the listener, to really notice your own behavior over the next few days. Pay attention the next time you seamlessly buy something off a social media feed or use a mega platform without ever once visiting the actual brand's website or caring who the merchant of record is.
It's definitely an eye-opener.
Notice how frictionless it is, and notice how quickly the platform created that demand for you out of thin air.
And as you notice your own habits shifting, consider this final thought. It's something not explicitly answered in graph data, but heavily implied by this entire structural shift.
Okay, lay it on us.
If the future of shopping is just highly efficient algorithms connecting us directly to anonymous factories at rock-bottom prices, does the concept of brand loyalty even exist in the future? Or will the platform itself, the algorithm that knows exactly what you want before you even realize you want it, become the only brand we ever truly trust?
Wow. The algorithm as the ultimate and only brand, that is a heavy question to leave on.
It really is.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the platform economy. Keep questioning the systems around you, watch your wallets, and as always, keep diving deep. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the International TCG Summit podcast. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and found a few ideas worth taking with you. Our next podcast will be published on Tuesday in 2 weeks with more insights from this year's TCG Summit in Copenhagen. Until then, have a great rest of the week, stay curious, stay inspired, and we look forward to welcome you back next time. Bye!